Dr. Gorka, how are you, sir?
I'm very well. How are you? Did you survive an hour with me on my radio show?
And listen, it's easy. It's intimidating enough to ask questions. Like, imagine getting asked. It's intimidating to ask questions to Dr. Gorka. Imagine getting asked questions by Dr. Gorka. Plus, I asked your producers maybe 5 times what you're going to ask me, and they refused to tell me. They're like, don't worry about it.
I don't even
like,
tell
no,
President Trump what we're going to talk about.
Give me like a heads up. Like, what are we going to talk about? No, whatever. Okay. So obviously the whole rest of the day, I was like, I should have said that. I should have said that. But anyway, it was an honor and it was fun. And you mentioned the warm-up act for your big guest, Mike Slater, was who?
My old boss, President Trump.
That's right. President Trump for an hour, followed up by the disappointing drop-off of Mike Slater for an hour. But let's talk about your Trump time. 1 hour with Donald Trump. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's the 7th time he's been on the show, and I think it was the best ever. And we made a little bit of news from the Washington Post to the New York Times to Politico to the Daily Mail. That interview was everywhere the day after.
Yeah, in particular, I had it here, but I have so many windows open. It was when you asked him about Israel. Yeah. What did he say about Israel?
Well, I asked him, a good friend of mine, my co-host for my Fridays where we do movie reviews. He said, ask him about why the Democrats so detest Bibi Netanyahu. And second I asked that question, he said, I don't think they hate Bibi. I think they hate Israel. And he said, which is really hard to disprove, if you're a Democrat, if you're a Jewish American and you vote for the Democrats, you hate Israel, which is an absolute, empirical statement of the truth. And then the mainstream media exploded. Joe Scarborough ranted about it. I think he's still ranting about it. And then they used this absolutely outrageous calumny against the president, saying he's accusing Jews of dual loyalty. This hoary old anti-Semitic trope, which is actually, the best example of gaslighting I can think in recent years. Because what he said is the opposite of the dual loyalty trope. The dual loyalty trope, which has been used against Catholic Americans, against JFK, against Jews, is that you have a loyalty to another country or another institution, not just America. For JFK, they said, oh my gosh, he's a mackerel-snapping Catholic and he's going to be loyal to the Pope. That was, the bigotry of the 1960s. And then for Jewish Americans, they're going to be loyal to Israel over America and the U.S. Constitution. They won't be loyal Americans. President Trump said the opposite. He said, if you vote Democrat, because the Democrats are the party of anti-Semitism, you hate America. You hate Israel. You are disloyal. You hate Israel. But, of course, that doesn't matter to the mainstream media. The man who moved the embassy to Jerusalem, whose son-in-law is Jewish, whose grandkids are Jewish, he's the anti-Semite. And God bless the president. He was asked about it a day later, and he doubled down. He said, yeah, if you vote for the party that has people like Ilhan Omar, who talk about for Jews, U.S. politics is about the Benjamins. If you vote for Joe Biden, who's literally given dozens of billions of dollars to Iran that wants to destroy Israel, you got to hate Israel. It's that simple.
So here's what he said. He said, I actually think, so your question was, why do Democrats so hate the elected prime minister of Israel, Bibi Netanyahu? He said, I actually think they hate Israel. Any Jewish person that votes for Democrats hates their religion. They hate everything about Israel, and they should be ashamed of themselves because Israel will be destroyed. Those are definitely strong words. But I remember I asked Alan Dershowitz, and this was right after October 7th. I asked Alan Dershowitz and a couple of other Jewish people, guests we had on the show. I asked, why do Jews predominantly vote for Democrat? And it's I don't know. He's like, I don't know. I really don't even, no one had a good answer for that question.
Yeah, I've got a good friend. You got to talk to an Orthodox Jew, Jeff Balaban, and he has an answer for it that's tied into the history of Western civilization, Christianity versus Judaism, the pogroms, the Holocaust. You should get him on. Jeff's an amazing guest. But listen to what's happened in just the last few weeks. Well, what did the most senior Democrat in the Senate say? He said the Jews of Israel need to jettison the prime minister that they chose. Talk about election interference.
That's crazy.
Chuck Schumer says get rid of Bibi. What? You mean the guy we chose as Israeli citizens? We have to get rid of our prime minister? I mean, I don't care if Chuck Schumer says he's Jewish. That's an anti-Semitic demand right there. Or whether we have Biden on the hot mic at the State of the Union talking to his fellow Democrats saying, yeah, that Bibi, he's got to have a come to Jesus moment. Excuse me? You know Bibi's Jewish, right? And you're saying he's got to have a come to Jesus moment? I mean, or think about Rashida Tlaib. Rashida Tlaib, who first day in Congress does what? Has a big map of the Middle East in her office and puts a post-it note on this over the state of Israel, obliterating it, and writes on the post-it note, Palestine. I mean, can we talk about who the Jew haters are in America? It's the Democrat Party.
Wow, sure enough. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Rashida.
And then afterwards, she turned up in a T-shirt saying the same thing, a map of Israel with Israel literally deleted and the word Palestine over it. Breitbart wrote it up. I mean, these are the people. Yep. This is Dennis Prager's rule number one. The Democrats accuse you of what they are doing. The Democrat Party today, with the squad, with Schumer, with Biden, is the face of institutionalized anti-Semitism. Because guess what? It's not red MAGA hat-wearing Trumpsters who are walking down the streets of New York screaming from the river to the sea. I guarantee you every single one of the people who are, protesting Israel is genocidal, they're Democrat voters. I guarantee you every single one of them is a Democrat, including the former president of Harvard. What did President Gay say? Oh, calling for the genocide of the Jews. That's just contextual.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Great point on the context. And I'm thinking the bloodbath comment where context doesn't matter apparently. But her from the river to the sea. That's all about context. The article is Trump and America's Jews. It's on Breitbart.com right now. It's right on the front page. You can read all that and watch. It clicks right over to your hour-long interview with President Trump from Monday. Dr. Gorka, I thought of you this morning. We were talking about Google.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned about the power that Google has, and not stuff like blocking the New York Post Hunter Biden laptop story. That's too obvious. It's the subtle bias that we don't ever see, what they don't show us, et cetera. And I'm reminded that every time I ask you at the end of our interview where we can follow you, and you say you won't, not YouTube. Why not? What's your principal stance?
Here's a great story. So I hope the fascists at YouTube are listening. So I don't know if you remember after January the 6th, they put out a moratorium to content providers saying, if after January 20th you dare question the election, you will be in big trouble. Okay, Hitler, okay, Himmler, okay, Goebbels, we get it. And I had a YouTube channel with about 300,000 followers where I just used to live stream the radio show because we have cameras in the studio. And I had a colleague of mine, a wonderful Jennifer Horn, who's our West Coast warrior princess. She keeps L.A. sane in the morning with her radio show. And she said the following sentence, Mike, just pay attention to this. She said, millions of Trump supporters have problems with the results of the last election. That was her statement, not Dominion voting machines or they stole it. Millions of voters had problems with the result of the election. And I'm just like, I hear her say that, and we continue the discussion live. And I immediately text my associate producer at the channel. I said, crap, let's make this video. Let's not as a permanent video on YouTube. Let's make it private. Make it private now, but we can see it. The people who run the channel, my producer. About, a month later, YouTube goes into the back end of my channel to the private videos that nobody except the admin can see, that my guys and YouTube can see. They watch that little clip where she said millions of Trump voters had a problem with the results of the election, and they nuked my channel from all, terminated it. 300,000 was nuked from space. Because, hey, and freedom of speech. Crazy, right?
Yeah.